Ahead this hour, fresh airstrikes in Idlib, Syria, as the UN warns of disastrous consequences of an all-out assault on the rebel-held province. Plus, the Iraqi city of Basra now under curfew after days of violent protests. We'll talk to an aid representative in Baghdad. And concerns in Europe that Sunday's election in Sweden could shift the country to the far right. Hello, I'm Lynda Kinkade. Thanks so much for joining us. CNN Newsroom starts right now. We begin with reports of fresh airstrikes hitting Syria's rebel-held Idlib province. Have a look at this video. It's been shared on social media. It is said to show the bombardment. Both the White Helmets and the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights groups say Russian aircraft carried out those strikes. The attack coming just a day after a dire warning from a UN envoy, as well as a failed effort to reach a ceasefire agreement among the key players, those being Russia, Iran and Turkey. Well, CNN Global Affairs analyst Kimblery Dozier joins me now from Washington. And Kimberly, Turkey tried to get Russia and Iran to agree to a ceasefire yesterday. Clearly that failed. We're seeing these airstrikes right now. Do you see there being any other way for a diplomatic solution right now?
Well, Lynda, the problem is the parties that don't want this to happen don't seem to have a lot of leverage over either the Syrian regime or Russia, much less Iran. The American president has tweeted a warning against this, and the U.S. Special Envoy to Syria, Ambassador Jim Jeffrey, has warned against attacking the city. He's especially warned against a chemical weapons attack in one of his first interviews. And he was a former ambassador to both Turkey and Iraq, so he very much wants to keep Syria from backsliding into more chaos, and most of all, having those 3 million residents in the region of Idlib flee, adding to the other refugees in nearby Turkey. The problem is, from the Syrian standpoint, from their calculation, so say they even use chemical weapons in taking back Idlib, so they've faced a punitive strike in the past. They don't think the U.S. president will risk American lives to stop them from advancing on this last pocket of rebel resistance.
So they're counting on the fact that there may be some response, but certainly nothing to prevent any attack. The U.S. wasn't invited to the talks yesterday, and we know last month President Trump ended the $230 million development payment that was paid yearly to Syria, and that, of course, pales in significance to the billions already spent since 2011, since the U.S. got involved in this war in Syria. Has the U.S. essentially lost here, given Assad is in power and the U.S. is not at the table at all?
Well, many of the Syrians who are on the rebel side feel abandoned by the U.S. The U.S. does continue to say that it's going to stay in the region in northwest Syria as long as it takes to get rid of ISIS fighters. But ISIS is mostly cleared to its last pockets. And everybody hears the president's comments when he talks about wanting to bring U.S. troops home, and the debate within the Pentagon and between the Pentagon and the White House over keeping troops in Syria has also been pretty much a matter of public record. So while the president is saying some of the right things to warn against attacking Idlib, they know that he doesn't want to get deeply involved on the ground. He doesn't want to have more U.S. troops coming home to Dover Air Force Base in cases. So there's only so far they think he will fight back. And if it just amounts to some saber rattling, some verbal saber rattling, with nothing to back that up, the calculation is why not get this major area back and also complete what many have called the Assad regime's goal of ethnically cleansing a lot of the Sunni population out of the country, and then having a rump state that is much more ethnically in his favor, in the favor of the Alawite regime, and not so many Sunnis left over to present a challenge to him in future.
Right. Kimberly, do you mind standing by for me just a moment? We're going to go to our Frederick Plackton, who is in Damascus. He's going to join me on the phone.